Welcome back. It is that time once again right here on Mountain Connections where we get to check in with recruiter guy, talent attraction consultant Bill Humbert. And today's topic is one that is very interesting and it's easy to sometimes overlook, and that is dressing to impress. Bill, so thankful you're here today and looking forward to diving into this topic.
Oh, me too, Christine. Let's go ahead and get it in.
All right, let's do it. So, why is this so important, especially from your standpoint as a recruiter, as someone who's been in the business world for many, many years? Tell me why you're emphasizing this right now.
Well, I'm emphasizing right now because I haven't done it for a long time. However, let's think about this. People measure you every day. Every time you're out and somebody looks at you, instantly they've created an impression of you. And when you're interviewing, it's even more important because as soon as you approach the building where the interview is, if there's any of the employees out there, you're making an impression with them too. So it's very important to dress to impress when you are going into an interview.
And why is it so important if you are being coached by a professional, if you're working with a recruiter? Usually that is known when you're going in for interviews. And if you choose not to dress professionally, that can be a big strike against you.
Oh, it can be a huge strike on so many different levels. Think about it. When I coach somebody, hey, this company is a company where they expect you to wear a jacket and a dress shirt and a nice tie, and you show up and you're dressed business casual, everybody that you run across in that building recognizes that, well, you're not dressed for here. You're not part of our culture. And so what happens? You go to the interview, the manager looks at you and goes, doesn't say anything usually, but wonders, wow, I wonder if Humbert didn't coach him. And of course, he or she knew I did. And then they called me and said, by any chance, did you not coach Mary or John? And I go, about what? Dress? Well, yeah, I spent at least 5 minutes talking to them about it. And if that person then comes to the interview and isn't dressed to impress, then what happens? Questions about how they accept coaching, questions about whether they're really a good fit for the culture if they're not willing to get dressed up for us. And it's really difficult to overcome those kinds of obstacles to get an offer.
I think there's two sides of this coin. There's the one point that you just made where individuals may choose not to dress professionally for whatever reasons. Maybe they just feel like it's not important or it's not the vibe they want to give off. But on the other side, I think it's so easy to overthink this and overthink, oh, should I dress like this? What if they get a different impression of who I am? What if I come in and their culture is jeans and I'm wearing very business professional dress? Are they going to think I'm better than them? It's so hard. It's already hard enough when you're going in for an interview or you know that you're going to be judged by that snap for first impression. So how do you find that balance?
Well, I go back and forth. I got these two baseball hats that go back and forth. I coach people how to be successful in their career search. And then on the other hand, I'm a professional recruiter and I'm introducing other candidates to my clients. And on the career coach side of things, what I do is I say to them, when you're talking to them about the interview, just ask them, what's your culture in terms of dress? And they'll tell you, they'll be straight up. And then just ask, well, what would you suggest that I should wear? I don't want to appear overdressed on one hand, but I certainly don't want to appear underdressed. And generally the person that you're talking to is going to tell you exactly what they expect.
And do you know of any studies that really dive deep into this topic that really prove that this is something we need to pay attention to?
Yeah, back in the 80s, I picked up this book, Dress for Success by Mr. Malloy, and he did a study in New York City. And he had two young men that he dressed, one in a nice suit with a nice tie, and he dressed the other business casual. and he asked them to time their approach to the office building when a professional is coming out of the office building. And what he found was that when somebody was dressed for success and they approached that door, about half the time the person leaving just stepped aside and allowed them to come in. And the other half of the time, that person held the door for the person coming out. And then he had them switch clothing and put the other person in a nice suit and tie and the first one in business casual, and thought, well, maybe it's just the person and the way their face looked and whatever. And what he discovered was the exact same thing happened. 50% of the time when they hit the door at the same time as a businessman or a businesswoman was exiting, that person allowed them to come in. The other 50%, they just held the door for that person as they exited. But what was really interesting and very consistent also was many times they would almost run over the person dressed business casually. So they made those snap decisions on that person, and just based on their dress.
So what do you tell your clients when they're going in for an interview? Maybe they already know what this company, the individuals that work there, wear. How do you guide them to make those correct decisions?
Generally, what I suggest is, if you find out that it's business casual, then what you do is you go in and you say, here's what I want you to do. Just wear a jacket, and you don't even have to wear a tie, but just a jacket and kind collar shirt, and that way you're a little bit above business casual, but you're close enough to be able to kind of meld with the group of people there, and you're showing them respect. You're showing them that you respect them, you respect their culture. Women, same thing. You dress in a business dress. You dress, no real dangly earrings. Your makeup is day makeup as opposed to going out to a party makeup. Something I learned, I'm a guy, so I don't pay attention to this stuff as much. But I had a client, and the woman came in, and to me, she looked great, and very professional. And what I was hearing around the HR office was, she's got open-toed shoes. Now, this was a company that dressed, in suits and ties, and I was clueless, to tell you the truth. I learned something that day to coach women not to wear open-toed shoes in a professional environment. So there you go.
Absolutely. And Bill, I know you're very busy. What are you doing right now, and what do you have on your calendar coming up?
Well, really excited. Expect Success, the science of the over 50 career search, is in the editing. My editor is amazing, Daria Mioli. She's out of New Jersey. She's got a challenge right now. She's got two boys, one's 8 and one's 10, and she's trying to edit my book and homeschool them at the same time. So she's doing a great job, though. I really appreciate the job she's doing. Jambo John also has created a landing page that will go live for my second book, and that's Employee 5.0, The Secret of a Successful Job Search in the New World Order. And that'll be going live probably Friday. And I'm, being interviewed today, being interviewed tomorrow. I've got a busy podcast scheduled this month. So it's a crazy month, but it's kind of crazy I like.
Well, thank you so much, Bill Humbert, for joining us today. It's always nice speaking with you. You always give us hope in that job search. It can be very difficult and hard, so it's always good to hear your expertise and your many years in this business. You can find out more about Bill Humbert at recruiterguy.com, and he has several books and another one coming out soon. We'll be back with more, specifically Summit County Council, right after this.